Today we've got James, or JP Purcell, on the hot seat, a guy who's done laps around the drinks industry and still manages to look like he hasn't spilled a drop. JP cut his teeth throwing cans around at Red Bull for nearly 8 years, jumped across to Gage Roads Brewing, where he somehow convinced half of the East Coast to drink craft beer before anyone was calling it craft. From there, he put Matzo's on the national map, wrangled Coles Liquor Group, and ran the innovation pipeline at Good Drinks, dropping new beers and RTDs like they were mixtapes. Now head of customer at East Coast Canning and Printing, the founder of Drinks 101, and still somehow finds time to sit on boards and dish out strategy advice. If you've cracked a can in the last decade, chances are JP had something to do with it. Welcome, JP.
Thank you, Sasha. What a wrap.
People still think cans are just a container. What do you say to that?
Cans aren't just a container anymore. They are absolutely part of the consumer experience. They are infinitely recyclable, but much more than that, they are the blank canvas for your brand's storytelling. They are the beacon of who you are and what you do, as well as what that product is.
Premium beverages in cans used to feel like a bit of a contradiction. What flipped the switch? We're seeing just recently Brown Brothers come in with a aluminium wine bottle. We're seeing aluminium really drive into the more premium space. What do you think's changed?
I think there's a couple of things. Our desire to be more sustainable is making consumers and brands look for places where they can be more sustainable. Aluminium as an infinitely recyclable material is a natural place that people are starting to gravitate to. And the can or the aluminium bottle, plastic manufacturers are also trying to produce plastic with 100% recycled content. It almost harks back to my Red Bull days when Red Bull 38 years ago created a premium functional beverage in a 250ml slimline can, which was a format that didn't exist at the time. They have been chipping away at that ever since, a high price point for a small amount of liquid. But 38 years later, we've seen the whole market trend into that kind of smaller format and treat size. And within beer, we saw the aluminium can take off because craft businesses didn't have the ability to put in massive bottling lines. So the only way to package your beer as a small independent producer of drinks was to put them into a can. And in the US, we saw mobile canning businesses, brewers, distillers, winemakers, and even coffee roasters. And that's where the idea for East Coast Canning came from, when Chris and Melissa Kelly saw that and brought that over to Australia. The can was actually the path of least resistance in craft beer to create a packaged goods revenue stream, because bottling just wasn't an option. So as craft beer grew, the can grew. And then as can happen, the upstarts changed the whole category. We saw the big brewers in the premium glass bottle format starting to launch cans as well. And now they're just a part of the Australian lifestyle.
Do consumers buy the liquid or the can design first? I want to get your take on it.
Okay, conflicting things happen in my brain when you ask that question, because I'm from brand side. Marketing has been my bread and butter on the beverage sides of things, though I've worked with some incredible people that have developed unreal products and taste profiles. So is it what's in the can or is it what's on the can? I have to say it's a combination of the two, from my experience, because I've sat across both sides of that. It happens in a clear order, right? People don't see what's inside the can first. They don't taste what's inside the can first. They don't want to take another sip until they've opened it, right? But to actually get them to part with their hard-earned dollars and buy that product from your taproom, distillery door, local retailer, it's all down to that can. That's the first place you're going to grab your consumer's attention. And it's possibly the last place in the sales flow that you have to be able to convert them into a sale.
Yeah.
So they work hand in hand, but can works first before taste and liquid.
Love it. Love that answer because they do work very much hand in hand.
That's it. Catches the eye. And if you can spark some curiosity, that's great. But
Yeah,
if your drink doesn't deliver, then they don't come back and purchase again, and you don't get
yeah,
the opportunity to build loyalty with them. The best brands are certainly investing in both, because what's on the outside gets you noticed, but what's on the inside keeps you coming back.
100%. Design on a can isn't just a pretty picture, as we've just discussed. How does
Yeah.
that artwork change the way people experience a drink, do you think?
I think people often have time when they're consuming that beverage to sit and engage with the can.
Yeah.
And so before you've even taken a sip, the artwork has told you whether to expect fun, sophistication, or tradition. That was part of your purchase decision,
Yep.
or your choice if it's already in the fridge and you're like, what am I going to drink today?
Yeah.
And so that influences how your liquid is perceived based on the associations and assumptions that someone's made based on how you look. You've judged your can by its cover. That great design builds an emotional connection, whether it's lifestyle or community. It could be collectability with what Coke and others are doing with limited edition cans with movies and stuff these days.
Yeah.
So you've got a perception built around what your drinking experience is going to be like based on what story that can has told you from the first time you saw it.
It's interesting because I was just thinking about that. Sometimes, depending on your mood as well, you'll pick the can that suits you or the place that you're going. If I'm going to watch the footy at a mate's house, maybe I'll pick a beer that's a little more traditional or a bit of a craft. If I'm going to have a girls' night, maybe I'll go for a cocktail in a can and go
Yeah.
for something a bit more sophisticated. It almost can be part of your persona as much as it is about that moment in a can. So it's quite
Exactly
interesting.
right. Exactly right. People, unfortunately, they judge you by what you drink, right? And you
Yeah,
show up to the
I do.
barbecue or the kids' party or whatever, and people are interested in what you've got.
Yeah.
They want to know, and they're like, "Why'd you choose that?" And I think we've gone straight down into cans, of course.
True.
At the shelf in something like wine, people are choosing between a bottle of wine, a can of wine, a pouch of wine, a goon sack of wine. There's so many different formats in some of the drinks that people are choosing between. So even the fact they've chosen a can of anything is a choice in itself against all those options in wine.
Yeah, it's pretty big actually when you think about it.
Yeah.
We've seen that brands go quite wild. How much does that actually move the needle with drinkers? Like in terms of going wild with flavor and design, what do you think?
Depending on the type of drink you are, we've certainly seen some really wild designs in beer over the last couple of
Ab?
years. And that's because people are trying to stand out. They want a bold design as part of being a strong trial driver. They're kind of walking this line of noise versus being memorable as
Yeah.
well. So if you can dive off the shelf into somebody's eyeballs, maybe you're more likely to get picked. But you also saw brands like Bolter when they launched going the exact opposite way, right?
Mhm.
They went for a really clean look and feel in a category that was noisy. They went simple and crisp for their memorability. But I think it's got to work with your brand and with
Yeah.
your brand story. So that novelty alone won't create loyalty. If you're going to be a noisy brand, then of course, you want that noisy packaging. But if you get novelty for novelty's sake, then that might fade quickly. So I think the winners are brands who go bold in a way that feels authentic and right for them.
Yeah.
Black Flag Brewing is an example of one of our customers who I think really go bold in a way that is authentic to them.
Mm.
And the stuff we do for One Drop as well is right down that alley.
Yeah.
Both of those brands back it up with great liquid and great hospitality experiences when you visit them as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they really stick to what they know best in terms of design and flavor, although they do vary in terms of
Mm.
packaging. they always have a theme that tends to be within their remit, and the brand stays the same. When you look at a One Drop can, you know they definitely walk the line very well. Let's talk canned cocktails and energy drinks, or the good for you drinks. Um, how big is this trend, and is it changing what people expect from a canned?
I love good for you drinks and that whole
Yeah.
functional and energy space. I drank lots of energy drinks and then took a while off. I've certainly come back to those good for you and functional drinks as I'm looking to get more out of my days and more out of my life without necessarily pounding down a million coffees. So those drinks give me an opportunity to dabble in energy. Some of them even are kind of chill out stuff with L-theanine and those sorts of things. My experience comes from being a consumer as well as working with our customers in this space. There's huge growth in the canned cocktail side of things. We are seeing that taper off a little bit based on price point. We saw that going bananas with the seltzers and those sorts of things as well. But in the non-alcoholic side of things, anything that is better for you or using natural ingredients like mushrooms and adaptogens and nootropics and coffee berries and guaranas and all of those things are really having their day, because whilst people talk about non-alcoholic beverages as being like beers with no alcohol or wine with no alcohol, all functional and energy drinks fit right in that same kind of occasion. If you're out with your mates and you're not drinking alcohol, you do want something that keeps you up and gives you that mood and stuff like that as well. And they kind of fit in that space, right?
Sure.
So they're fast growing because they sit in a bunch of different moments across people's lives. I certainly expect that any of those drinks that help you get more out of your day without slowing you down will continue. Of course, there will be a maximum to how many can live in the category, but the spritzers, the kombuchas, the adaptogens, the nootropics, the naturals, the caffeines, the organics, all of those things are here to stay, I think. And I'm personally excited about that. It's been a wonderful opportunity for our business, for East Coast printing and printing.
For sure. We're here to talk about consumer, and absolutely we are both consumers of it all. What do you see for the future of the drinks industry? More innovation, new brands coming in? What's your take moving forward for the future?
The question I get asked lots by current and potential customers are, what can you do in 150 mil or 200 mil?
Okay.
As the kind of Asian influence on Australian food and drink builds within our country, we're seeing a lot more Asian drinks launch in those smaller formats, and Australians are flocking to places like Japan and South Korea like they're going out of fashion. So our Aussie consumers are coming home with this new kind of desire and appreciation for smaller format drinks that are either alcoholic or non-alcoholic. Some of them are caffeinated, many of them are functional. The entrepreneurs in that space are coming home from those same places and saying, what can we do in smaller formats? That's kind of shrinkflation in a way, a part of that Asian trend that's taking off in Australia. Matcha is a part of that. The hard solo kind of category was created by Minus 196, which was a Japanese ori beverage. Asahi and Lion are owned by Japanese businesses. 7-Eleven in Australia is now owned by a 7-Eleven Japanese head office. So we've got lots and lots of Japanese businesses and brands driving growth out of Australia that are also driving the growth of Asian trends. The Asian formats will be part of that too.
Definitely can't say I'm mad about that at all. I love the Japanese, so it's good to see their influence come across the ditch for sure.
Cute.
Yeah, it suits us. I feel like it's good. I mean, in terms of innovation, is there anything that you see consumers kind of heading towards, or you can see being new for the future?
When I'm looking across the category, I'm certainly seeing people chase the direct-to-consumer drinks model.
Okay.
And they're trying to do that with things that are ready to drink and things that aren't as well, like sachets and powders.
Okay.
I think what we're seeing folks like Steve Chapman do with hydration and stuff like that, those aren't canned beverages, they're sachets and pouches. But the drinks industry is going to continue to try and deliver benefits in different formats, delivering a drink in a powdered format and trying to build a direct to consumer brand out of that is really cool. Steve and his team are having a red hot crack at it. And if anyone can do it, I think it is going to be that business. That's really, really cool. It's off the topic from cans, of course, the sachets and powders and those sorts of things.
Yep.
But it's part of that functional drinks movement because they're not always ready to drink. Coffee has the same sort of thing. You can get all sorts of different types of coffee, hot, cold, powdered, ready to go, fresh barista made, machine made, packaged, all those things. And I think we'll start to see some of our drinks go that way too. Matcha, exactly the same kind of thing. We've got it in all sorts of formats, hot, cold, powdered, ready to drink, bottle, can. So what I do expect though is to see lots more drinks in cans, and how we're kind of building the business model to take those to consumers potentially outside the traditional retailers is going to be where some major retail innovation, I think, comes from in how to grow a brand in Australia or around the world without necessarily relying on traditional retail. And if it can be done, I hope that in Australia we're leading the way in doing that.
Yeah, hearing more Japanese drinks coming through, like the matcha, which has been a family favorite here. It's a bit of a cultural phenomena, considering it's a very old traditional drink, but now part of pop culture. Any parting words you want to share about consumer experience from your perspective, JP?
Before we leave the matcha topic, Sasha,
Yeah.
that is a really cool example of trends converging because that's the Japanese trend happening in Australia. That's Australians in Japan.
Yeah.
That is matcha looking really cool on socials.
That's everyone's taking a picture with their drink, aren't they?
That's right. Bondi with the plastic cans, right? We get asked about these plastic cans all the time. And Harry's, we're doing the matches with the mango syrups, the strawberry syrups, the berry syrups. They looked gorgeous. They were so grammable. And, you know, that was part of what really drove their appeal. They're a high price as well. For a matcha latte, you're paying well more than a coffee.
I know.
For the ceremonials, you get a whole experience.
I know.
With your ceremonial matcha or ceremonial cacao as well. So that's just the convergence of trends. I think matcha tastes like a grass-flavored milkshake. But the fact that it is this beautiful convergence of trends makes it so cool, even though I think it tastes like grass clippings.
Well, I have mine sweetened 100%, and I like it iced and like a smoothie kind of vibe, not the milky, watery, icy version. That's how I like mine. When I was in Japan, I really got sold it. So, and they do it. It's everywhere, and they put the cream on top. There's no health benefit, I'm sure. I'm taking in way more calories than I'm getting rid of, so it's fine. It tastes yummy, and I like that it's jumping over to translate over to us.